Hello everyone, my name's Dean, let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is May 25th, 2025. And just a quick update, we're just going to look at Bitcoin and altcoins, right? Could altcoins finally be in a position to begin their rallies to the upside? We're going to look at that. And is Bitcoin still in a downtrend? Is Bitcoin still looking to find temporary support on 100K, move up slightly and then go down way lower than most people think? We're going to look at that briefly. All right, if that interests you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it with Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. And just to update everyone, so let's move this over. No, let's leave it there. Let's move this over here. And then we're going to move this slightly over. Okay. Bitcoin is still on the trajectory that we believed it set at this swing failure pattern over here, right? I said this, I'm not going to rehash the analysis verbatim, but essentially right here is the beginning of the reversal of trend for Bitcoin, okay? And the reversal of trend is that I'm referring to is Bitcoin going from the bottom of this channel, this 180 plus day channel, all right, from approximately 75K all the way up here. And then you see on the smaller time frame a reversal of trend where I indicated, and that in my estimation was initiated, that in my estimation was initiated over here at this moment when we got that big swing failure pattern that you can see on the hourly time frame. Okay, so I believe that this is still going on, and this is still likely to happen on the very short, small time frame. What I'm seeing is Bitcoin moving up very slowly back to these levels. Okay, and I'm simply looking at this as a bearish reversal pattern, and I've talked about this on this channel, but bearish reversal patterns tend to take the shape of head and shoulders distributions, head and shoulders patterns that you can see, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And so I think all of this is right shoulder, and all of this on the smaller time frame is a channel. Let's draw that again. Actually, let's be a little more precise. And I think that's the bottom, that's the top. So I'm essentially just seeing Bitcoin moving back to the top of this channel before coming all the way back down. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. I don't see anything drastic in this small time frame move. Okay, you don't want to be too myopic. You don't want to be too focused on the small time frame price action, because on the higher time frame you don't want to miss this. You do not want to be caught unawares, because this is going to be a massive move on the higher time frames. This is the top of the move, as we've been discussing, and you want to be very careful in Bitcoin, in other assets, to go long at the top. Okay, but I do think in the next few hours that we get a small retracement up to around 1095. Okay, the top of this channel. And again, this is going to be our right shoulder. This is going to be our left shoulder right here. This is our head. Okay, and so then I'm seeing a rejection at the top of this channel. And if you look at this in terms of a head and shoulders bearish distribution, let's go on the 4-hourly. What can you see? Well, let's draw out a neckline for this purported, actually for the neckline, let's go on the hourly, because we can see everything a little better. So the neckline would be around here, yeah? something like this. Okay, let's make this solid. And so the height of the head and shoulders, our purported head and shoulders, superimposed from the site of breakout, which would be the neckline. There's confluence right there. Remember, yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever I published that last update, I said very high likelihood that the first target to the downside for Bitcoin should be around 100K. And at that point, we should not only see a retracement or a slight move up to around 107-ish, or to basically forming a right shoulder, because all of this is left shoulder, head, right shoulder to me. Again, you know, fractals. So you can see on a smaller time frame, on a smaller time frame, a head and shoulders, larger time frame, head and shoulders. This left shoulder also is comprised of a head and shoulders. This right shoulder may also be comprised of a head and shoulders, right? That's fractalization. That's fractal patterns that you see, you know, smaller and smaller and smaller, and the larger one is also valid. In any case, this is what I'm seeing. And again, that's the confluence. So if you look at this head and shoulders pattern, the breakdown gives you that 100K. And how did we get that 100K in the previous episode? Just as a refresher, if you're new, if you didn't watch it, it's fine. I'm going to show you just briefly how I got 100K, and it was simply by looking at previous price action and using the theorem in Elliott wave analysis that any initial break of structure targets wave 4 of the previous trend. So again, if you consider the previous trend being Bitcoin from 75 to the all-time high at 111, 112, whatever, then the previous wave 4 of the previous trend is right here. That's the penultimate consolidation before the capitulative final wave 5, the final move. Okay, so typically in an initial break of structure, wave A targets wave 4 of the previous trend. Also, I use the idea, or I guess just the support and resistance on the chart formed by this rising broadening wedge. And if you continue that resistance, you're going to find now support, temporary support on that previous resistance. And in that rising broadening wedge, we spent about 2 weeks. So that 2-week resistance is going to be temporary support, and that is 100K. And then the last point of confluence for me in the previous video was that 100K is psychological resistance. It was psychological resistance when we were below it. Price had difficulty breaking through 100K. We finally broke through 100K. 100K now is going to be temporary support on the way down. So I'm still seeing that happen. That is not invalidated, even if we have a small time frame retracement up to this range high of approximately, let's do that one more time, of approximately 109, 109.5. Okay, that doesn't invalidate in any way, shape, or form the analysis. It's just taking a little longer, which is fine. But in this time that we retrace up within this range, interestingly, we may see the very beginnings of an altcoin move, which in the original, or in the previous analysis, I said we wouldn't see that until we got to the 100K region. Okay, 100K region, then I think we see a larger altcoin move. But I think that this altcoin move actually begins here, and then we get the bigger one once this retracement happens. That is the larger altcoin move that we're going to see. That's going to take us maybe into the triple digits for a lot of altcoins. I think this first altcoin move, I'm going to go over this with you in a second. This first move to these range highs take most altcoins by my calculation. per my calculations, to about 20 to 40%. Right? At least based off of the different assets in my watch list. So that's what I want to use the time left to talk about, altcoins. So that's Bitcoin. Nothing's really changed other than that, yeah, the way it affects altcoins. So let's look now at Bitcoin dominance first. And remember, Bitcoin dominance is a measure of Bitcoin's dominance vis-a-vis the rest of the cryptocurrency market. Bitcoin dominance going up, that means altcoins are dumping. Bitcoin is pumping, or rather, Bitcoin dominance going up means altcoins are dumping. Bitcoin's dumping, but not as much. Bitcoin dominance going up also means Bitcoin's pumping, altcoins are stable or stagnant or not doing much of anything. Bitcoin dominance going down is Altseason. This is what we've been waiting for years, not an exaggeration. I think we're finally getting that. As you can see, our pink box is still being held as resistance, and that was very, very important that remain. Reason being, on the really high time frame, you have this rising wedge that you broke down from. Okay, a rising wedge that's as old as it's almost a year old, right? Not almost a year, but maybe December to what are we, May? 6 months, half a year. So 180 days. Boom. Breakdown, retest. That was very important that we found resistance here. Reason being that this is the level that is retesting this previous support lost now as new resistance. Okay, so that's where we are on the high time frame. On the smaller time frame, having a quick look at what this move looks like, you can see you're indeed getting some sort of consolidation at these levels. Like, it's very difficult to break back into this rising wedge, which it should be. Okay, it's proving to be resistance. Okay, so we have one break, that's your initial break, that's your counter. Your secondary break, I think, maybe this is the secondary break, secondary counter. This is maybe the tertiary break, tertiary counter. I'm seeing a rejection imminent. Okay, on the 4-hourly time frame, you look like you're already crossed bearish and moving down. So I should see, based off of this chart, altcoins already starting to move against Bitcoin, meaning altcoins going up much more than Bitcoin's going up. If Bitcoin in the immediate short term is targeting 109.5, I'm seeing altcoins, putting in that 20 to 40% I was talking about, right? Whereas Bitcoin is only going up just a few percentage points. So this is what I'm seeing. Now, looking at, to close the video off, the total 3 chart. And the total 3, remember, is all of the cryptocurrency assets minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. So it's representative of altcoins at large minus the biggest altcoin, Ethereum. And I talked about this last time. We're looking at some sort of sign of strength, right? And that is a Wyckoff analysis term, which is basically one of the ways, the main way, that you see price matriculate up and out of a consolidation channel of accumulation. So accumulation channel, remember, is a channel that changes the trend from down to up. Okay, that was the trend down. You had 90 plus days of accumulation. I believe it was 90 days here. Let's see. My memory serves, it was 90 days. Yeah, it was 90 days. 90 plus days. And once you get up, you back test the midline, very important, we know that, and you basically squiggly your way up and through, you chop your way up and through the resistance of the channel, finally yielding a strong impulsive move, clearing the channel altogether. So this is what I'm seeing, and most interestingly, just focusing in on that sign of strength, what are you seeing? Well, you're seeing a rising wedge, which is testing the top, bottom, breaking up at the top, testing the midline, finding strength on the midline doubly, right? So like this. Top, bottom, top, midline, pump. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. I really like the way this looks. I like the fact that both the top resistance have been tested, the bottom support have been tested multiple times, and the midline of the SOS channel rising wedge has been tested. This is very confidence inspiring for your ultimate pump out, and you're likely, let me say, the likely pump up and out of this SOS sign of strength channel, yielding our first move in the altcoin space. And that first move, the logical resistance, is the midline of this 500-day channel, this dark green channel. I'm not going to zoom out because, I'm just going to assume you trust me that I'm saying that is a 500-day channel. And you can see that move is 30%. So it falls within the range of what I quoted when I said, based off of the different assets in my watch list, I'm seeing some pump 20% and then others pump 40%. This total 3 indicator is showing a 30% pump in and out of, up and out of this SOS rising wedge, which should be the first official move of Altseason 2025. So I believe that this is happening. Could be wrong, but I believe that this is happening based off of the analysis. Guys, if you found value, please like, share, and subscribe. Consider tipping me by Venmo, Litecoin, sending me a Cash App, all at the pinned comment below. And if you're looking for one-on-one consultation services, please get in touch through the link in the pinned comment below, the Buy Me a Coffee link, where I go one-on-one with you for up to 2 hours per month and help you choose up to 5 different assets that are likely to pump in this coming bull market. Not every asset is likely to pump. People really don't understand that. So we choose a high probability likelihood of, yielding sustained gains in the bull market. So those assets that are likely to do so. And then we give likely resistance and support levels on a monthly basis. So basically where you should buy, where you should get in, where you should sell, take profit, and then where you should get back in to maximize your returns in the bull market. If you're interested, that link is in the pinned comment below. Hope everyone's having a great day. If you're American, happy Memorial Day. If you're not, happy Monday.
In the days while the world spins without me, arrived at the fork in the road, could turn back, repeat the same story, or march forward and embrace change and reflect upon his glory. I'm a selfish man, therein lies the whole problem. Torn between my actions and the will of my heart. I had to take it all apart to see where I stood as a man, to depart from this world and leave it in his hands. Come on. Yeah.
And it looks like I'm heading for the gold, y'all. Touring on a pothole road, y'all. I get it even if I didn't fit in, winning right up to the end, and like I didn't even know, y'all. I have Pop's genetics, working hard never to get it, like shit it better than letting life get the best of my efforts. Instead I dedicated to bettering my steps, measuring investments, watch me do it to the death, y'all.